Second part of 7.4, guys. We are going to solve, right? We talked about Gaussian elimination with back substitution. That was when we got the 3, the 2, the 1. And then we did our back substitution. We're going to solve these next two problems using matrices. And the directions will say something like row echelon form, reduced row echelon form, might say elementary row. I will explain to you on the test. You'll probably have one of these. Yes, you can solve it the other way if you want to do it to check, where you take the first, the second, eliminate the x's, first and the third, eliminate the x's, just like we did in our quiz. But we're going to solve this using matrices. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to write my augmented matrix. So what does that mean? That means I'm going to take all the what? The coefficients, right? And I'm going to write them all out. So negative 1, 1, negative 1, negative 14. If you want to put the little line like to denote that this is the answers, that's fine too. Guys, I cannot impress upon you enough the importance of making sure your signs are correct. Because if they're not, that's when we get all messed up here. So my second equation is 2, negative 1, 1, 21. My third equation is 3, 2, 1, and 19. If at any point you guys see I make a mistake, please let me know. Don't wait until the end and be like, remember, that should have been a negative and you made it positive. Don't do that, okay? All right, so our goal, like I said yesterday, our goal is to get ones right here, positive ones on the diagonal, and then for these to be zeros underneath. So we're going to, each step that we do, you have to tell what you're doing. I always start, and there's a billion different ways to do this. So some of you are like, I want to do it this way. Do what you want. I'm going to tell you what I think is best. I always start here. I always start with the top left. I want that to be a positive 1. It's a negative 1. What would I have to do in order to make it a positive 1? Multiply or divide by what? Negative 1. So I'm just going to say negative 1 times row 1. That's what I'm going to do. Am I doing anything else to 2 and 3? No. So they're staying the same. So I'm going to rewrite. Yes, this is a pain. I'm going to rewrite, and it's 1. Then this becomes negative 1. This becomes positive 1. This becomes 14, right? Then everything else stays the same. So I have 2, negative 1, 1, 21, 3, 2, 1, and 19. All right, so again, check. I'm right here. Whoops, I went to a different color. I'm going to focus on the first column. I want my first column to be a positive 1, and then a 0 underneath, and a 0 underneath. So I'm going to now focus on this number right here. What could I do to combine that second row with either the first row or the second row to get my 2 to cancel out, to become a 0? Could I multiply the first row by negative 2? Absolutely. So I'm going to say negative 2 times row 1, and I'm going to add it to row 2. That's what we're going to do. So I'm going to take a negative 2 and go here. So row 1 is going to stay the same. I'm going to rewrite it. Row 1 is not changing. It's still 1, negative 1, 1, 14. What else is staying the same right now? The third row. So I'm going to rewrite that one. 3, 2, 1, 19. So what's going to happen now is I'm going to multiply negative 2 to that first row. I'm going to say negative 2 times 1 is that 2, negative 2, negative 28, right? And I'm adding it to row 2. So row 2 is 2, negative 1. What? Okay, let me know, please. All right, when I add these together, I'm going to get my new second row. What's negative 2 and positive 2? 0. What's 2 minus 1? 1. What's negative 1 plus 1? Negative 1. And what's negative 28 plus 21? Negative 7. So this is 0, 1, negative 1, negative 7. Okay, let's look at our diagonal. Ooh, looking pretty good, huh? Right? We want ones on the diagonals. And if you do this correctly, it'll all work out how it's supposed to. Now, I want to still focus on my first column. I have a 1 where it should be. I have a 0 where it should be. Now I want to work on this. I got to fix that 3. I want that 3 to be a 0. So kind of going along the same thing we just did, what could I do? Say it again.
Can you multiply the 3 with the 0?
Well, when you have to add them, you have to combine them. So what would I have to do? With one of the rows, tell me.
You combine the first and third row and multiply the top row by negative.
Okay, you want to multiply top row by -3? Okay, so we're going to say -3 times row 1 plus row 3. So what's changing? Just that third row. So what's going to stay the same? I'm going to keep 1, -1, 1, 14. Then I have 0, 1, -1, -7. So now let's take -3 times row 1. So -3 times 1 is -3. -3 times -1 is 3. -3 times 1 is -3. What's -3 times 14? -42, thank you. And I'm going to add it, we said, to row 3. So 3, 2, 1, 19. What's -3 and a +3? 0. What's 3 plus 2? -3 and 1. -2. And what's -42 and 19? -23? Yes? Okay, so 0, 5, -2, -23. So look at your diagonals, all right? Okay, we got this how we want it. We got the first column all how we want it, correct? All right, so let's focus on the second column. What number needs to change? That 5. What does it need to become? A 0. Okay, so let's think about it. So you can use whatever row you want. -5 to the second row. Yeah, you could do that, could you? All right, so if I say -5 to the second row, what's another thing we could have done? 5 to the first row. Okay, so -5 times row 2 plus what? Row 3? All right, so row 1's going to stay the same. 1, whoops. 1, -1, 1, 14. 2's going to stay the same. 0, 1, -1, -7. So now -5, so I have 0, -5, +5, and then 35. And then my bottom row is 0, excuse me, 5, -2, and -23. You guys agree? So what's my new row? 0, 0. What's 5 minus 3? Sorry, 5 minus 2. 3. And then what's 25? 35 minus 23. 12. Okay, so I have 0, 0, 3, 12. We are so close. On my diagonals, I have 1, 1, and then a 3 there. And then I have, look, all these zeros underneath. So at the beginning, we multiplied row 1 by -1 to change it, right? Is there a very simple operation we could do to row 3? Just row 3, because everything else is fine. But what could I do to row 3 that could make that 3 become a 1? Can I divide everything in row 3 by 3? Could I say row 3 divided by 3? Yeah, could I do that, guys? Look, if I divide this by 3, and this by 3, and this by 3, and this by 3. So my first row is going to stay the same. 1, -1, 1, 14. 0, 1, -1, -7. What's 0 divided by 3? 0. What's 0 divided by 3? 0. What's 3 divided by 3? 1. What's 12 divided by 3? 4. Okay, so now let's check. On the diagonals, do I have all positive ones? Underneath, do I have all zeros? Yes. So you can now write 3 equations and solve them. What does my first equation say? What's the top one say? X minus y plus 1, just kidding, just plus y, equals 14, right? What's the second equation say? y minus z equals -7. And what's the last equation say? Z equals 4. Now, can you guys use back substitution to figure out what all the letters are? Yes, to get your order triple. I'm going to take this 4 and plug it in right there. So I'm going to say y minus 4 equals -7. I'm going to add 4 to both sides, and I get y equals -3, correct? So then I'm going to say, okay, well, x minus -3 plus 4 equals 14. X plus 3 plus 4 equals 14. X plus 7 equals 14. What's x equal? So your answer is, what's your ordered triple? 7, -3, 4. And how do you know for sure that you're right? What could you do with that ordered triple? Plug it back into the very beginning. All right, now guys, that took us 10 minutes and 56 seconds. Now, obviously, with practice, you guys will get quicker with this. Obviously, as well, if we have a test, I am not going to give you more than one of these, okay? But you have to get a little quicker. Obviously, this is the first one. I walked you through it. Now, at different times, there were different things we could have done. Like right here, when Ava told us we could multiply the second row by -5, and then Cassie said you could do the top row by +5, that will work. Sometimes you guys are going to see things a little differently than I do or than someone next to you does. And that's okay. The more we do this, the easier it will become. But just get some sort of a system. I like to just focus on, first one has to be +1, then I work on the first column to get zeros. Then I scoot over. If you kind of have a method like that, things kind of seem to work themselves out through the problem. Yes?
So you go like down first?
I do, yeah.
And then you figure out the other ones?
Yeah. You don't have to, Mikey. Some people like to switch, like jump around. That just, to me, I find it very confusing. I like to focus on the first column, then I go to the second column, and then it kind of works itself out when you do it that way. Let's do the next one. All right, I got one under our belt. And then, again, like I said, I will put up some practice problems that you guys, because I think there's only 1 or 2 on WebAssign, just because a lot of them involve fractions, so we have some extra ones. All right, so our friend Gauss Jordan, that's our row echelon, the elementary row operations, whatever. So the first thing we're going to do is write out our augmented matrix. Write everything out. Make sure, God bless you, make sure that your signs are right. So my first equation, my coefficients are 1, -2, 3, and 9. Yeah? Check me, please. Second is -1, 3, 1, and -2. And then the third is 2, -5, 5, and 17. What if there was not a variable? What if that wasn't there? What number would you put? 0. Okay, good. If there isn't a variable listed, a lot of times I just put it as a gap. They don't like stick them together, but just put a 0 because you have to have a placeholder. So remember, on the diagonal, we want all +1. That's what we're trying to get to. I have a +1 to start off with, so what I'm going to focus on is this first column. I want that to become a 0. What could I do with any of the rows present to combine them and that spot becomes a 0? You could add row 1 plus row 2. Perfect. So go ahead. You can rewrite row 1 because it's going to stay the same. 1, -2, 3, 9. What else can I rewrite? The third one. 2, -5, 1, and -2. Now all we're going to do is just add those 2 rows together. So 1, -2, 3, 9. -1, 3, 1, -2. Oh, yeah, thank you. See? Good. Right here. I was looking the one above it when I was rewriting. Perfect. Yeah, I was looking at the row above. Yeah. I was looking at the row above. Thank you. See? Easy to make silly mistakes. I'm good now, right? Or no? What you're doing, Cassie, is actually just, you're doing elimination because you're getting the coefficients to be the same and then how they would cancel out. So it's just the same thing, just without the letters. So -1 and 1 is 0. -2 and 3 is 1. 3 plus 1 is 4. And 9 minus 2 is 7. So I have 0, 1, 4, 7. So just kind of give yourself an idea. On the diagonal, you want 1s, and underneath you want 0s. So I'm good here with positive 1. I'm good here with 0. Let's figure out this 2. I want that 2 to become a 0. What would I have to multiply a row by and then combine it with? Negative 2 where? To the first row? Good. I'm going to multiply negative 2. So I'm going to say negative 2 times row 1, and I'm going to add that to row 3. So go ahead and rewrite what stayed in the same. 1, negative 2, 3 and 9, 0, 1, 4, 7. So now let's go. Negative 2 times 1 is negative 2. Negative 2 and negative 2 is 4. Negative 2 and 3 is negative 6. And negative 2 and 9 is negative 18. And then I have 2, negative 5, 5, and 17. When I combine these, what's negative 2 and 2? 0. What's 4 minus 5? Negative 1. What's negative 6 plus 5? Negative 1. And what's negative 18 plus 17? Negative 1. So 0, negative 1, negative 1, negative 1. Now, some of you might say, could we divide the last row by negative 1? Sure. If you wanted to do that right now, that's perfectly fine. I'm just going to keep going with how I told you guys I like to do it. I like to start, kind of get an eye on my diagonal. I want this all to be positive 1. So now I'm going to focus on the columns. I'm good with 1 here, with 0 here, and 0 here, right? I'm good right here with a positive 1. I need to fix this piece right here. What could I do? Okay, you could add row 2 and 3. Good. What else could you do? Adding row 2 and 3 is the easiest thing to do. But what else could you do if you just saw something a little different, Jeremy?
Multiply the bottom for third row by 2 and after.
Okay, you could multiply the bottom row by 2 or negative 2 and then add 1. There's a bunch of different ways you can do this. I'm not telling you there's only one right way. But I would work smarter, not harder. So we're going to say, Hannah told us, we'll add row 2 and row 3. Okay, that's cool. We'll do that. So I'm going to keep, my first row stays the same. 1, negative 2, 3, and 9. My second row is still the same. 0, 1, 4, 7. So I'm going to take row 2, which is 0, 1, 4, and 7. I'm going to add it to row 3. 0, negative 1, negative 1, negative 1. What happens when I have 0 and 0? 0, okay? What's 1 minus 0? 0. What's 4 minus 1? 3. And then what's 7 minus 1? 6. All right, now, this happens a lot of the times, guys. Look on your diagonals. I want it all to be 1s. And I want underneath to all be 0s. We are so close. So close. What could we do to make that last row say 0, 0, 1, something? Divide row 3 by what? Whoops. Row 3 by 3. It's also the same as multiplying row 3 by what? 1/3. Okay. So if I just go through here and I say, ooh, divide by 3, divide by 3, divide by 3, divide by 3. All right, here is my answer. 1, negative 2, 3, 9. 0, 1, 4, 7. 0 divided by 3 is 0. 0 divided by 3 is 0. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 6 divided by 3 is 2. All right, so much work. You guys did a great job. Now, how do I write my first equation? Minus 2y plus 3z equals 9. Good. Y plus 4z equals 7. And perfect. Now, what do I do with that? Back substitution. So I'm going to say, okay, y plus 4 times 2 equals 7. Y plus 8 equals 7. So y equals, what kind of 1? Negative 1. Good. Make sure your signs. And then at the top, I have x minus 2 times negative 1 plus 3 times 2 equals 9. So x plus 2 plus 6 equals 9. X plus 8 equals 9. X equals what? 1. So Okay, so right before the fire drill happened, we got our ordered triple, guys. What is our ordered triple for this answer? 1, -1, 2. And what can we do with our answer? You can plug it back into the original and check, which is what you should do. Say it again. The original set of equations. Yeah, into the x, y, and z. All right, so I'm going to post in a second here some practice problems for 7.4. You do not have to do it. I'm just going to post it, and then I'll post the answers in a little bit, probably tomorrow, just so you guys can check your work. But it's just in addition to this intro to matrices thing, so you guys can kind of look at it and see what's going on. All right, sounds good? All right, good job.